I'm not compelled by a God who is like 98% vengeance, but there's the 2% super merciful, and if you can just squeeze into that little merciful pocket, you're good. It's problematic to me. Peace be with you, and also with me. My name is Justin, and this is the very first reaction video that I've done on this channel. Now, I'm going to be looking at Alesia, the Bible chick, and this could not be more random. I've never heard of this person. Her video, this video, I am in flames, or that's what it says on the little thumbnail anyway. Famous atheist, last words before dying. This just popped up on my feed, and I thought it looked intriguing, but I have no idea what to expect. So this is raw and it's real, and we're about to get into it. So right before we do, I just want to say thanks in advance for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. And leave a comment, because I'm a very interactive guy. And I'd love to connect with you. All right, that's enough talking. Let's check out Alesia, the Bible chick.
Okay, so what sparked this very interesting video topic for today is I was watching this movie called After Death with my family the other night. By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, you should definitely watch it because it is insane. But it sparked this idea for me because I was thinking about the inevitable for all of us, something that we all have in common here on this earth. Whether we like it or not, we will all take our last breath. And so many people have different beliefs behind what will happen after that last breath. Will it be darkness? Will it be black? Are we going to heaven if we're a good person? Are we going to hell if we're a bad person? And there's people that have dedicated their lives to proclaiming that there is nothing after this life here on this earth. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk about today their last breath and what they had said on their deathbed before taking that last breath. Yeah, I thought it'd be a really interesting video topic for today. So with that being said, let's dive in.
All right. Ooh.
Number 1 is Caesar Borgia. He was an Italian nobleman, which means that he was of the highest social class. Caesar was an atheist and focused on building his life here on earth. Yet his last words, "While I lived, I provided for everything but death. Now I must die, and I am unprepared to die." Number 2 is
I didn't know that. It's interesting. I don't know if she's going to comment on this or not. It seems like there's a list to follow. But I would just say that there are different levels of preparation, right? I've interacted with lifelong Christians who, at the end of their lives, when they're actually dying, they're not prepared for that. Sometimes even the people who are the most devout, they're scared at the end, when they feel their life slipping away. So just little grain of salt there.
Sir Thomas Scott, an atheist who was a Chancellor of England. Being taken suddenly ill and finding himself dying, he cried out to the Roman priest who sought to comfort him, and he said, "Until this moment, I thought there was neither a God nor a hell. Now I know, and I feel that there are both, and I am doomed to perdition by the just judgment of the Almighty."
That's interesting because, if he didn't know, like as an atheist, like, you don't know if there's a God. But then, like, what are we to infer? I'd be curious to hear more about what led him to the conclusion that, in fact, there is a God and that there is hell, besides, what he'd been told. That's interesting.
Number 3, this name might sound familiar, which is Voltaire.
Yes,
and you know what?
Voltaire.
Voltaire, hair. I would personally like to learn about Voltaire.
Voltaire was a French writer, philosopher, and historian. He was famous for his wit and his criticism of Christianity. He believed that Christianity was corrupt. Yet the famous anti-Christian atheist on his deathbed said, "I have swallowed nothing but smoke. I have intoxicated myself with the incense that turned my head. I am abandoned by God and man." And then he
Just real quick, he believed Christianity was corrupt because Christianity was corrupt. Historically, that there's no way around. That doesn't mean every Christian was corrupt. That's silly. But the Catholic Church had a lot of corruption in it, just like really nearly any institution ever has at some point in time been pretty corrupt. Just a little note there, just a little something.
said this to his physician: "I will give you half of what I am worth if you will give me 6 months of life." And when he was told that this was not possible, he replied with this: "Then I shall die and go to hell." His nurse said, "For all the money in Europe, I wouldn't want to see another unbeliever die." All night long, he cried for forgiveness.
I don't know. Good on him if he felt a way about things that he'd done wrong.
David Hume was an atheist philosopher who was famous for his skepticism of religion. On his deathbed, he cries out, "I am in flames."
Wow.
It is said that his desperation was a horrible scene. Number 5 is Sir Francis Newport. He was head of an English atheist club, and on his deathbed to those who surrounded him, he said, "You need not tell me that there is no God, for I know there is one, and that I am in his presence. You need not tell me there is no hell. I feel myself already slipping. Wretches, cease your idle talk about there being hope for me. I know I am lost forever. Oh, that fire. Oh, the insufferable pangs of hell. Oh, that I could lie for 1,000 years upon the fire that is never quenched, to purchase the favor of God and be united to him again. But it is a fruitless wish. Millions and millions of years will bring me no nearer the end of my torments than one poor hour. Oh, eternity, eternity, forever and forever. Oh, the
Okay. Wow, that is super intense. I'm thinking about the thief who hung on the cross next to Jesus, and at the end of his life, he was repentant, and he was putting his trust in Jesus, and Jesus said, "I assure you today you will be with me in paradise." So, this is a dark and unfortunate take by Sir Francis Newport, and I don't know. I don't know his circumstances. Had I been there, I would hope to reassure him that this very bleak eternity is by no means necessary.
And that's not even the craziest one. Number 6 is Charles IX, the French king. Urged by his mother, he gave the order for the massacre of the French Huguenots, in which 15,000 souls were slaughtered in Paris alone, and 100,000 in other sections of France, for no other reason other than the fact that they loved Jesus. The guilty king suffered miserably for years after that event. He finally died, bathed in blood, and to his physicians in his last hours, he said, "Asleep or awake, I see the mangled forms of the Huguenots passing before me. They drip with blood. They point at their open wounds, that I had spared at least the little infants at the bosom. What blood! I know not where I am. How will all this end? What shall I do? I am lost forever. I know it. Oh, I have done wrong." Number 7 is the author of the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey, the high priest of the religion dedicated to the worship of Satan. One of his famous quotes was, "There is a beast in man that needs to be exorcised, not exorcised." Yet his dying words, oh my, what have I done? There is something very wrong. There is something very wrong. This might be the scariest video on my channel. I apologize. Before their last breath, these 7 atheists had one thing in common, that there was no God. Yet on their deathbeds, these 7 atheists had a new thing in common, an understanding that there is surely something after we die.
Wow. Okay. She seems like a very nice person. Like, good for her for trying to use her platform to promote positivity. You know, the only thing I would say, a couple things. It's a little bit of a propaganda video, right? And not all videos have to be journalism. You know, it reminded me of like an alpha video a little bit. We didn't get any takes from atheists who had a very peaceful transition, a very calm and pleasant end of life story. I think it's a little maybe unfair to talk about the horror story ones, most of which are like set in sort of darker times when they're hearing a lot of rhetoric, a lot of fire and brimstone rhetoric. So that's permeating their psyche as they're passing. You know, it's a little one-sided is all. And then the other thing I would say is, I'm not attracted personally to a God who's like, look, either the worst suffering imaginable for the rest of eternity, or pray this nice prayer and, you know, get one of the Bibles from Taylor and then you'll be forgiven and you get to go to heaven. Like, that's not, just be honest, it's not a God that I'm like, yeah, let me get behind that God who's like, has these peculiar kind of rules about like, pray this certain prayer, do these specific things. Otherwise, the worst torture imaginable. It's suffering and torment and flames and all that stuff, right? So that there's something that we have to kind of reconcile out of the gate here. And I'm not compelled by a God who was like 98% vengeance, but there's the 2% super merciful. And if you can just squeeze into that little merciful pocket, you're good. It's problematic to me. But I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Are you compelled at all by the fear of the threat of an afterlife of suffering? Or are you like, that's just more reason for me not to want to have anything to do with Christianity? I'm way more interested in the life-giving aspects of who Jesus is. That's what compels me about faith in Christ, is how good and ethical and moral and fair and merciful Jesus is. So that's my take. This ended up being kind of a longer video than I thought it would be, but she said a lot of stuff that needed to be covered. And if you're a Taylor fan, I can see why, and I would not encourage you to stop being a Taylor fan at all. I just wanted to throw out my take on things a little bit, and let me know if there's somebody else I should take a look at, somebody I should react to or comment on. I'm new to this, but I'd appreciate you sticking with me and giving me some feedback, help me do better than what I'm doing now. And until next time, peace.